station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
AMP2.tv presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hello. I am very excited to be here as a guest today. My first time in Tell Us Your Business. My name is Lina Sosa, and I am an executive and success coach. I assist business owners, entrepreneurs, individuals, employees reach their highest goals. That is my passion. So today I want to talk a little bit about building culture by design and building what I call a success map. But before I get into that, I figured I should share a little bit about me, who I am, and how I grew up to be an executive business coach. So I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, and I arrived to Florida back in 1990. I was 19 years old, and I came with my parents and siblings looking for, quote unquote, the American dream. The situation in my country was economically very difficult at the time, and we would spend 2-3 weeks barely with any electricity. There were water problems, and the grocery stores at the time, imports were not allowed. So it was tough times. And my dad decided, let's just apply for the green card, and lo and behold, we got it. Now, I always note that my mother and I did not want to come. It was a really hard transition because in life we get used to everything, and we were happy. We had a lot of family there, had the Latin flow going. So the punchline to the story is that when we arrived to the United States, my father was not a businessman. He put the money in a bad investment, and overnight we had nothing. We spent years eating pasta 5-6 days a week, literally nothing. And the economy in 1990 was tough. The interest rates on a house were 14-15%. Interest rates on credit cards were 28%. It was insane. I'm the oldest of 4, and what happened was both my parents went into a major depression. There was a point that I thought my dad could be suicidal. Luckily, none of that ever materialized, but it was tough times. And I was lucky enough that neighbor across the street, her name was Rosa Hakala, she had a job that was a part-time job for a little project. And she said, Lina, I'll teach you to do it. So she hired me for that one little project, which I was obviously very grateful. Well, I had never seen a computer, and the first day I ended up by mistake deleting in Lotus Notes what she had me do. And that was the day that I had to learn the meaning of the word resiliency because I wanted to die. And somebody else asked me, Lina, please make these copies. I had never seen a copier machine. I had, again, never worked. So I would walk to the other side of the building, try to find a smiley face, and ask that person to help me. Would you please teach me how to make a copy? And that's how my career in corporate started. Because luckily for me, one project after the other, I was there 2 years on a part-time basis, making okay money until a full-time job opened up. And Rosa was a great mentor to me. I remember she would always tell me that the cemetery is full of indispensable people. And that is a message that to this day I remember. And I tell my employees in corporate and people that, my clients now, as a way of, let's remember that so we don't get comfortable. We need to do our best every day. So I spent the following 10 years in maritime transportation, loved that career. 10 years into it, I was ready for a change. And technology was booming in the year 2000. And I had the opportunity to move into the tech world. Timing was such though that, and I got this amazing job with a laptop. I could work part-time from home, which back in 1999, that was a big thing. And but by the year 2001, the dot-com crash, that was another adventure. I had to start from scratch. And start from scratch meant 50% less money, but it was in a new environment that I had to take advantage of what I could learn. So in the subsequent years, I grew from entry level to president of a local software company here in Boca Raton. Throughout those years and all pain, and the reason why I tell the story about my family and the bankruptcy and all of that is because during that time, it framed my state of mind of learning with the intention to apply things by design, with intentionality. I wanted to live a life, not only personally, but professionally, of intention. How can I do things the best way? The way that produce the better results. And in small corporate, you have to become very resourceful because you have to do more with less people while keeping them engaged, keeping them enthusiastic. And that became my mission. Luckily, I spent 15 years part of Vistage International, which was amazing, and I love to study. So during all of that time, I was packaging all the knowledge of what I now call a black belt in success and a black belt in failure. Because the reality is that we learn more from our failures sometimes than we do from our successes. Packaging all of that is what brings me today, after we divested the software company, as an executive coach. So how do I do it, or what do I recommend? I always say that there's two sides to any individual as we approach, success. And the two sides have to do with professional and have to do with emotional intelligence and personal. And not one side is more important than the other. The question is, where are you in your life, and what are the areas in which if you increase 1%, that you increase every day, that becomes exponential, just like in finance, right? It multiplies. Then it takes you to the next level. So my roadmap to success is understanding your why. And that's important not only as an individual, but as a corporation. The why is why clients want to buy from you and why your employees want to be with you. So understanding that why becomes critical. And what are the beliefs? Beliefs are important either individually or from a business perspective. Do you believe you have the best product you can? And why is that? Then you need to understand personality. Personality has to do with character. And that, again, everything applies to both. There's no business without the individual. And the individual needs the business to grow financially, right? When it comes to emotional intelligence, understanding self-awareness, how to self-regulate, how to know your values, your self-accountability, how to develop emotional rapport with your partner, with your children, with your family, with your employee, with investors. Those are things that sadly they don't teach us in school. They don't teach that in college, right? We learn as we go. Some of the hard skills have to do with having a in writing success map deeper than what I am talking about today. I call it an execution roadmap. That execution roadmap calls out your corporate values, your 1-year goals, your 3-year goals. What makes you special? What's your elevator pitch? Understanding all of those things from a hard skill set, right, brings your company to the next level. Understanding goals and making sure that your goals are smart, specific, measurable, time-bound, right? And then developing KPIs that are leading or lagging, in which you measure your success. It's absolutely key to your ability to be successful. Hiring slow and taking your time, and then firing fast. Because in my experience, as soon as you identify that somebody is not a cultural fit in your organization, what happens is the guilty feelings start happening and we prolong it and we end up keeping people that they would be better off having careers somewhere else, right? So it becomes really, really important to have the discipline of taking your time culturally to hire the right person. But when you identify that, you do it in a clear and fair way and release that person to their next opportunity. Other things that are very valuable are one-on-one meetings with your employee or with your bosses, right? Having that communication is key amongst people, and delegating effectively and having a clear map for customer success are some of the things that make an organization successful. Again, the key is to identify what are the components that your organization needs to go to the next level. Now, the first question that I get asked is, Lena, how do I know that I need an executive coach? How do I know that I need somebody like you? So the questions are, do you have if you don't have a clear map to where you're going, then the answer is you can use help. Do you have employees giving you excuses instead of results? That's another reason why to engage. A third option is, do you have managers that you've been promoting because they were good employees, yet these people are not necessarily leaders? They don't have the training to be leaders. Then that's another reason to engage. Are you perhaps a solopreneur that needs help? That's another reason to engage. Freddie, questions for me? I know that you've been listening.
What do you do in order to get started? In other words, how do you pinpoint the things that you pointed out? Where do you start? Where is the beginning? Where's the middle? And where's the end?
From scratch or an existing business?
Existing business.
Okay, so when you have an existing business, it is important to do a gap analysis. What are the areas that you're suffering? Is it that sales are not where they need to be? Is it that you need help with marketing? Is it that your employees are failing you?
What about if you can't hire employees, which just seems to be what's going on right now?
That actually, I have a lot of clients dealing with that, and they're having to do a lot more themselves or with the employees they have, and keeping them motivated is really key. I am one of those people that I believe in sharing as much information as you can with the employees and sharing with them the efforts that you're doing. You guys, and asking them for feedback. In a lot of cases, the employees know more what to do than the boss. But in a lot of cases, our pride takes over. And we think that as the boss or the business owner, we need to be the one dictating. And we think that being vulnerable plays against us. And in that case, I say flip it. Ask people humbly, come in 30 minutes before or stay, and let's talk and say, we're in this together. What do you think? How do we do this? Because we want to save the company. And at the end, and sell the idea, which is not selling it, it is the truth, right? Through their additional commitment, it is how you get their engagement and you get them to produce even more. That's how that goes.
Would you agree or disagree on giving employees that are coming in incentives, maybe profit sharing or something like that? First, you can't get them, but if you're going to have them leave their unemployment benefits, do you believe in profit sharing for the employees?
Well, that is a deep question, because I believe that profit sharing is something that you need to earn in time, unless you are such a key employee. And that you need to be very careful, because as a business owner, what I have seen a lot is that you make the mistake of giving too much of the profit sharing. And what happens is employees on the average, they don't understand finances. Then you have the cost, the company has the cost. And there's a lot of mathematical equations that you need to do, because people start giving percentages and normally it's of revenue and not necessarily of profit. And that gets really kludgy. So I would not, unless it's a key employee, necessarily lead with profit sharing. Now, specific bonuses against performance and against performance that leads to the right activities for the business, yes. Having the right incentive and having the right payout, absolutely. Did I answer your question? Yeah. And all of these things, they apply in different shades from big corporate to small business. I take a lot of pride in coaching the owners about integrity. Obviously, you don't have to disclose everything confidential, but lead with integrity. Treat your employees, pay them fairly. Because when you look at people in the eye and they know that you're speaking the truth, they help you. They want to be with you. And you cannot control what's happening in the market right now, that it's hard to hire, but at least you can control that your employees feel safe, that they feel valued. And not necessarily that you hire somebody else, because sometimes what happens is you're desperate. You hire somebody else and pay them even more than your own employees. Because I've seen it. Years, employees that are loyal 10 years, but because they were hired 10 years ago, they only get the 3% increase, right? We have to be careful with that because people talk.
So you're telling me that it's better to go with the CEO and guide him than to talk to each individual employees and try to get their feelings to the mix?
That's a great question. And my approach is both. I start by talking to the CEO so I can understand culturally what does he or she have in mind. And the secret sauce is actually bridging the gap in the communication between the CEO and the employees. My best clients, I do a hybrid. I speak a little with the CEO to understand, and then I spend the bulk of the time with their leaders, understanding, and that is how I get the information. That's how I get the disconnect between the two of them. Because what happens is the CEO on the top, he has purview to some things, but not others. And the same thing, the employees on the field or close to what's happening, they have other visibility that the CEO does not have. So I like working with both.
Yeah, because I would think that the managers and CEOs, if they're having a problem with the workers, it's really simply not listening to what the workers are going through, not understanding the pressures of what they're going through. So, and again, going back to the original question, a lot of people have been out of work. And businesses that have been staying open barely because the owners are doing all the work, and they need help for growth. And again, where is the incentive to get people to come and work? There has to be more than just talk to them. There's got to be something else for them to want to come to work.
Business owners need to get used to nowadays, and this is even before COVID. Now it's even more so. You have to sell more than just a job. You have to understand the why of your company. What's the passion behind it? Where are you taking the company? What are some of the other benefits? Are you in an environment where the employee can have some flexibility? You need to paint the picture of the opportunity above and beyond the money and the salary. This day and age, people want to have flexibility. They want to have input. They want to have their opinions heard. They want to be part of a mission. People do more. There's study after study after study that people do more when they attach and associate themselves to a mission than they do for a bonus. It's unbelievable. And the thing is that corporate or business in general is behind the science of the power of the mind and how the mind works. And people do more when they think you have something amazing and they're helping you go to the next level than they do, again, for a bonus. Does not fail.
So there's a question.
Who
What is your ideal client?
Who is my ideal client? That is a great question. And the basic answer is anybody who's willing and ready to change. Anybody who wants to grow. And that could be, there's no vertical, there's no necessarily size of business. I work with businesses that it's a solopreneur, and I have clients that have 200 employees. But the key for me to be successful and help them successful is that they are vulnerable and they're willing to learn different things and do things differently. Because when you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. And that becomes the infamous definition of insanity. Any other questions?
So far, no. Okay, so the ideal client is the one that's going to be coming forward, not the one that you're going to discover once you've met them. In other words, if somebody has bad habits and you meet them, is the coaching going to be to get those bad habits removed so then you can work for the company, or are you going to work with what he gives you?
That is such a great question. So the reality is the person needs to be willing. It doesn't matter that they have bad habits. The question is, are they willing to examine the behavior, understand the why, and try something different? And some people do, and some people don't. And you know how I know? Has to do with attitude, not ability. I usually can predict that within 98%, if not higher, of certainty when I meet somebody. It is. If they're of the mindset, it's my way or the highway, chances are that person is not going to change. And I can't tell you how often those people have been in the company 3, 4, 5 years, but they become a cancer. The CEO is going one way, and that person is valuable, but that person is the other way. They have their own agenda, and when that happens, it does not matter bonuses for that person. It doesn't matter how many coaches they have. It's a matter of time. And then the question is the CEO ready to pull the trigger? Or is the person ready to go? Which is why I much rather, in a lot of cases, they bring me to make that determination, right? And can I do it? Absolutely. Do I do it? Yes. Are those my favorite clients? Not necessarily. I'd rather build. My ideal would be to work with people that want to put in the work and see the results. So for you guys listening, you can find me in www.linasosa.com, or you can contact me at 954-632-6808. Again, www.linasosa.com. Very happy to join this space here for the first time today. And you can follow me and find me on Facebook, Instagram, and all of the other social media experiences.
There's a real quick question here,
Sure.
Lina, saying that during the pandemic, a lot of business owners changed their approach to business, where they went into survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And the outcome now is become detrimental in a lot of different ways because they don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore. Do you work with companies like that?
Absolutely. There's a lot. The pandemic brought a lot of uncertainty for everybody across the board. And now we are almost in the twilight zone. Are we in the pandemic? Are we in the endemic? Are we in the post-pandemic? Things are starting to move. Yes, maybe. People are not sure. This is the time to engage and look for professionals and look for ideas and align with also other organizations. Call me for ideas with that, because we become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time together. So it's really important to brainstorm so we can get to the next level. It is tough times, but we're getting out of it, and I am very optimistic that the second half of this year is going to be even better. Again, Lina Sosa, happy to be here. You can find me at www.linasosa.com. Thank you.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.